All right, welcome everyone to today's live stream where we're going to be focusing on Bitcoin. Nice to see all you guys in here. Good morning, Hans. Welcome everyone. We're going to be looking at the RLZ Trading Room as well, do some updates, see what's going on in there. And yeah, Hans seems to be in a great mood today, and so am I. All right, morning everyone. Is Bitcoin about to make a big move? Well, we do have some interesting technicals I want to look at. We also have some interesting fundamental events coming up later in the day that might act as this catalyst to the potential move that we're looking at for Bitcoin. What's up, Ahmed? Ahmed as well. This is a student of mine. We got Alexandra as well. Holy wow, we got a lot of people in here. Welcome. All right, so let's just switch over right to the let's take a look at the charts here, see if we can find anything interesting. By the way, we have we do have a giveaway going on right now for the indicator. So if you're interested in trying out the indicator, it's actually not released yet publicly. We do have it available for the program students, but if you want to have a chance of trying this out yourself, you can gain access to this one if you go to the tweet in the I think it's not in the description, so I'm just going to paste it right here in the comments. And if you're watching the replay of this, you can of course just go to my Twitter profile and check out the pinned tweet on my profile. All you have to do is like and retweet that tweet. I will then take that link to the tweet into this program, which kind of is at random selects a winner. You will get a 1 month access to the RLZ Slingshot indicator. Try it out. Let me know what you think. And when you're done with that month, most likely that time we're going to be able to offer it on the website, which has just launched, and I'm super happy about the new website, guys. Let's take a quick look. I'm really happy about this right here, and it's not even close to being completely done here. We're gonna have the members area for every single member, whether you are a program student member or a RLZ Trading Room member, or if you have if you buy the indicator, you also get access to the members area with a specific part of that members area where we will have videos explaining how to use the indicator and how to set alerts and all that fun stuff. So definitely keep your eyes on that as well. And before we go and actually look at the Bitcoin analysis right here, I want to say thank you to Prime XPT for sponsoring these live streams here. If you want to try out the Forex market, I know a lot of you are crypto traders. If you want to diversify your trading into different markets, you need to check out the Forex market, and you can do so on Prime XPT by using the link in the description below and the code LIBS42 to get up to a 7K deposit bonus. Bitcoin. Yeah, let's fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. I don't have coffee though. Like I did drink coffee like this morning. I do feel like I need some more. But like it's not like I'm gonna run up and take care of that now. All right, let's focus. Let's focus on the task at hand, and that is to pump Bitcoin. Right. So let's first look at the my main layout here, which is this one right here. And we're going to be looking at Bitcoin USD and Bitstamp. This is the main layout where we have, it's a pretty clean chart. I only really have the indicator on here. And I always want to start off by looking at the clean chart, to see if we can make anything out of this. So yeah, we obviously, Bitcoin is still trading at that resistance area right here. Let's just make one big fat level right here, because I do think it kind of makes sense on the daily. So this level is always straight. You know what? Let's use even numbers here. So we're gonna do 20,000 up to 22,000. Just to make it simple, and then we're gonna see, like, does it make sense? Does it make sense to have 22? And really, yeah, it kind of does, right? So this is a major high time frame resistance area right here between 20 and 22K. Yeah, it's a big one, but it is what it is. Like, we have to draw the levels in a way where the price action kind of tells us that this is the way, right? And right in the middle of this zone, we have another interesting level. Right in the middle of that area, we have a pretty interesting level. And that level is right at 20,841. So let's just do 20,900. Doesn't really change that much. So that about right in the middle of this area, around 20.9, we have the middle zone of this major area, and we also have the weekly open right on that area. So let's see if we can maybe perhaps create a range here where the low of this resistance area and the high of this resistance area might be the low and the high of the local range. Now that would be like perfect. So visibility, we have to have this visible on the hours as well. So we go down to the 4-hour, and that's the low. So not really right. The 1-hour, well, I would say it's close enough. I would say it's close enough. So if we do draw a range here from the low right here to the high here. What's interesting here is that the range EQ of this range comes in right on the weekly open and right on the middle zone of this major resistance area. We can also see that roughly the this area here and this area here is almost the same size. So it kind of fits nicely with the idea of price creating a range or sort of range within this high time frame resistance area. So now that we know that this is the resistance area and this is the range, we can remove this level from the hourly charts. This is the 4-hour, and we can try to make some TA on this local range to see if we can get an idea of what are the signs of Bitcoin creating that huge move, that next huge move to the upside or the downside. First of all, I would like to say that within this range, we have a clear bullish behavior. So there's a trend going inside this range, which is very clear with higher highs and higher lows. So there's definitely strength to be found here inside this range, which is, it's a good thing, but it can, shift quite quickly. So let's just make a range low area. I don't know. It's very hard to define the range low on this one. So let's just try to stick with the range EQ area, because that's the important area anyway. So that's the level, right? And that is the, let's just say the 20.9. And what I can do here is we can do draw the level from 20,800 to 21,000. You see that the 20.9 is nicely inside that area right now. So where would we see the first sign of Bitcoin actually making, giving us that huge move to the upside that I wanted to discuss with you guys? Well, I think first of all, we need to see price break above this level. And I want to go back to the higher time frames as well to see if we have any obvious resistance area above that level. And I think I do really think that we have, it's actually a pretty strong level right here. So even if we actually do, let's make this visible on the hours. Let's go back to the 1-hour. So even if we do break above this level right here, I'm going to make that a little bit different so we can see something like that. So even if we do break above this low time frame range high right here, we still have to remember that we have a major resistance area above, and the high of that resistance area is actually 22K. So we might actually see a breakout like this, right? Even with that breakout, we're still in a resistance area. And I do believe right now the path of least resistance is to the downside. Well, I guess you could say the path of least support, but the path of least resistance is definitely to the downside, because what Bitcoin has to do here is we need to break above this low time frame range for a move to the upside, and we also need to get through this level to the upside as well. But on the downside, what really needs to happen is just the loss of the weekly open, right? If we do lose the weekly open and we come down to range low, that would be a significant sign of weakness, in my opinion. And it's highly likely that we do break down from that range. And if we do break down, we want to look at some fib levels that might be used as support, right? So what I want to do is I want to draw the fibs from this low right here all the way up to that high. So let's change the template to the standard RLZ, which gives us all the important fib levels. Now, I know that, if you're a member of the RLZ trading room, or if you're going through my program, you're seeing different fibs than what I'm actually using in my trading. But I'm not trading this. I'm doing technical analysis on the Bitcoin, and it's a huge difference between doing general technical analysis of an asset and actually looking to trade a specific system in a specific trend. So you have to differentiate, and that's something I think a lot of people have problem with, differentiating analysts and traders. That those are um, two different people, right? Or two different ways of doing things. If I would be, if I would go into my trading, let's call it character, right? So let's say, I go into my trading character, I would just look at this and say, it's no trade, and go on to the next one. And that would be a pretty boring live stream, right? I pull up Bitcoin for 2 seconds and I'll say, this is not a trade for me, because there's no point in even looking at the chart, because there's nothing that the system agrees with. However, when doing technical analysis, we could be looking at what Bitcoin has to do for us to potentially find a trade in the next couple of days, and then try to plan on what would that trade actually look like. So what I'm saying here is, if we break to the upside, now this fib right here, the fib extensions of this fib is useless, because there haven't been any retrace and bounce. The extensions are only, in my opinion, valid if there's a retrace down to any of these levels as support before moving up to the extensions. Because if prices continue straight up, we just have to increase that zero, and price will never hit these extension levels if it just continues straight to the upside. Do you think the whole move is just a big bull trap? Liquidity is still not taking at lower levels. Well, I don't really care about the idea of liquidity not taking at lower levels, but is this whole move a big bull trap? Like, first of all, I have no idea. But if I had to choose a yes or no on that question, I would definitely say yes, right? Now, keep in mind, I'm not very good at predicting the future. I don't think there's a lot of people able to do that, but I don't know. Like, I don't know if this is a bull trap. I have no idea. But look at the chart. I look at price. Just look at this. Look at what I'm showing you right now. Resistance tends to act as resistance. It's not the other way around. It's not like price comes and tests resistance and then all of a sudden it continues straight up. That's usually not how it works. And it's very evident in this downtrend right here. 25.5 is a very, very important level for Bitcoin. Absolutely. I do, however, think also that what's happening right now for Bitcoin is of insane importance as well, because if we do break out here and we do reclaim the 22k level, which is right here, the idea of this being a bull trap is just gone, right? That's invalidated. And I do believe that it's highly likely that the bull market is still on if we do break out here and we reclaim the 22k level as support. Now, if we reclaim the 25k or the 26k or the 25.5k, if we reclaim that level, it's almost absolutely the fact that the bull market is still on. But that would maybe for a lot of people be a little bit too late, So we want to try to, prepare for the scenario of 25k getting reclaimed. And honestly, like a reclaim of 22k, in very, very, very good. Now let's take a look at a couple of catalysts. Like, there are a couple of catalysts that we are watching right now for something that might fuel this rally. So we have a couple of major news events. This is, by the way, the dailyfx.com website. There's a lot of different sites you can use to check the economic calendar. I like using Daily FX because it looks pretty good. You also have the Financial Juice website you can go to as well, financialjuice.com. It's very good. I really like this one to update you guys on the current risk sentiment. And then we have also the Forex Factory for the old school economic news calendar that I know a lot of people are using as well. So what right now we have 15 minutes ago we had the core inflation rate for the euro. Now what happened with that one? It's got actual 5.2. No difference here. Is there really no difference here? Inflation rate previous for all right. So as expected, right? As expected. So let's see here. Actual. So the CPI, I believe that's month to month. It's actually lower than expected. So that's good. That's definitely good for risk, I would say. Without going into any more detail on that, I would say that it's mostly as expected, but still pretty definitely slightly to the risk on side. But what's important here, more importantly, is in 3 hours we have the PPI and the retail sales right here. Now, if you want to know what this actually is, you don't really need to know what it is. You just need to know that it's a high, major news event for the USD that might affect the well, it will affect the price action of the dollar. It will affect most likely price action of most other currencies as well, because dollar is the king, right? And the Bitcoin is mostly traded against the dollar, so it will affect Bitcoin. And the idea here with what's ever happening in the states with the economy and what the Fed is doing, it's kind of controlling the rest of the world as well, because everyone else kind of has to follow whatever the Fed is doing, right? So it has a very strong effect on price. I think this might be the catalyst for the next move on Bitcoin. And in my honest opinion, I think that like I said, the path of least resistance for Bitcoin is definitely to the downside, but anything could happen. And what we have to watch out for now, of course, if you want to know what this actually is, just go to dailyfx.com. You can read shortly about what this is actually all about and what the numbers actually mean and how it affects the economy. Do you need to know that to trade? No, you absolutely do not need to know that to trade. The only reason I keep track on these high impact news event is to let me know when there's a possibility of increased volatility in the markets that might just completely take out my technical setups. In 3 hours, we might know what Bitcoin is going to do next. And looking at this range right here on the lower time frames, I think it's highly likely that if the news event comes out and it's bullish for the dollar and bearish for Bitcoin, we're probably going to lose the range EQ area and that weekly open. And once that happens, we are definitely in the danger zone of breaking lower, because that would also mean that the local trend is broken and we might see something like this. What levels are of interest if that happens? Well, we have a couple of just obvious levels, right? And one of the most obvious level is obviously the area between, I would say, the 17.5k all the way up to around 18.3 or 18.4. So let's just call it 18k, the 18k region. Why is that important? Well, it's important for one major reason, and it's that it's a major breakout level right here where we broke above the range highs of this previous low time frame range right here. And not only is it the breakout area, it's also right in the middle of the reload zone, the RLZ right here. And as you guys know, the RLZ, the reload zone, is at the very core of every TA and every trading that I ever do. So let's just add a level right here. The probability of the reload zone getting hit is quite high when you look at like historically, you look at most financial markets, the reload zone is just a beautiful area for price to hit, and it happens so often. unless the move is of very high momentum, right? So if it's a very high momentum move and we do see a pullback, but there's going to be a lot of buyers down here, there is a big possibility that this level will be front ran. And if the reload zone gets front ran, it's usually happens on the 50% or the 0.382. In this case, right now, I'm thinking that the 50% makes more sense, because at the 50%, you also have the daily 20 EMA. As you can see, the daily 20 EMA right here. Now, the best case scenario for me would be if we also have a long signal on the RLZ slingshot indicator. Now, you gotta notice that, or gotta think about, the fact that the short and the long signals, they mean nothing if it isn't confluent with the RLZ slingshot system. And you can see here that the long and short signals, they don't really come along very often on the daily. You can see right here in the span of almost 200 days, we only really had three areas on the chart where we had decent signals. Now let's look at the bull market right now, or not right now, but the previous bull market. Now you can see that the indicator, it is not optimized for the daily. Is to make sure about that. It's optimized for the 4-hour swing trading type. But you can definitely see here that some of these long signals have really gave us some really good entries on Bitcoin, and it's something like this that I want to see, right? So basically, for us to get a long signal on the indicator, and for our system to give us a good long signal on a swing trade on Bitcoin, we need to basically come down here. We need to hit the 20 EMA on the daily. We need stochastics RSI to be below 30. And we need to have either a bullish pin bar or a bullish engulfing candle on the hit of the 20 EMA on the 4-hour. Now, of course, we can go in and we can adjust all the moving averages, and we can change everything to have more reliable signals on the daily, but I've chosen to keep this as I'm trading mostly the 4-hour. And if you're watching this and you didn't see the intro, definitely go to Twitter, check out my pinned post on my profile on Twitter, and you will you will have a chance of winning 1 month access to the indicator. I've also linked the tweet in the comments right now, so check that out to be able to win 1 month access to the RLZ slingshot indicator. It's a work in progress. Honestly, I'm constantly working on adding new functions, but the idea here is that everything I've used in my trading, if you go back a couple of months and look at my live streams and the videos I've created, you see that I have a lot of different indicators. What I've managed to do is I managed to take all the indicators and put it into one indicator, and that indicator also gives me signals of the system based on the indicators that I've combined into that. And then, of course, using our proprietary algo, another algo, which is like this is very complicated to try to explain how that works, but it's just a beautiful thing to be able to have everything in one place. All the indicators I'm using, everything in one place, and then just give me signals on whatever we want to trade, right? So that's the plan for Bitcoin. That's what I'm thinking for Bitcoin. If the major news event for the US comes out today and it is bullish for the dollar and bearish for risk assets like Bitcoin and stock market, etc., I think Bitcoin is going to break down here. And we're talking about the risk assets. We should definitely look at the S&P 500 as well, because we do have some interesting technicals going on the S&P 500 here as well. So you can see here that the S&P 500 is trading at, actually between a major support level and a major resistance level. And if the S&P 500 comes down here and bounces, I think it's highly likely that we are in a in a bull market for the S&P 500, right? So a break above here, a bounce in this level, and if we break above this resistance right here, I think the bull market is definitely on, right? I do think that the bull market is on. And will it happen? I think it's highly likely that it won't happen. I have a hard time seeing the bull market starting now, but who am I to say that? I obviously have no idea about the timing aspect of when the bull market will start. I can just look at the chart and look at the technicals and say, well, if this happens, I think it's highly likely that we are in a bull market. So I want to look at the S&P 500 and kind of try to compare the levels with the S&P 500 and Bitcoin. And I do think that if the S&P 500 goes down here, that might be, so I want to add a fib from that low all the way to this high. So if the S&P 500 comes down and hits if it hits the 50% or the 3A2, where we also have the daily moving averages right here around 3,900. If that happens, I think it's highly likely that Bitcoin will also probably come down and test the 50% or something like that, where we also might get that long signal. So the levels on the S&P 500 and Bitcoin kind of aligns. So let's see what the news event does. Now, if the news event is bullish for excuse me, for risk, I think what we're going to see is a breakout basically. And if price breaks above the 22K level, I don't think we're going to be going down here. I really don't think we're going to go going down here again, at least not for a long time. That's what I'm thinking, because this move on Bitcoin really is just such a powerful move. And if the market can hold on to this move and continue higher and create high time frame support that are at above 22K, I think we're out of that range finally, and we can start trading higher, maybe slower, and maybe we can, maybe we're going to be forming a new range within this area, something like that, right? Where the range EQ would probably be around 23K. But if we do that, we're at least going to have a range within that range. I mean, we above that previous range. And on the weekly, and this is very important, right? On the weekly, I also forgot to mention that we also have the weekly 20 EMA right above the 50%. That is also usually a very strong level to for a retest. So if we come down and retest it for the weekly 20 EMA, that is going to be a major level for a bounce as well. But if we do break above that 22K region, we have a higher high on the weekly, right? So we have a bullish market structure forming on the weekly. We have a higher high on the weekly. And if we do come down and retest that level, we have a higher high and a higher low on the weekly. Now that is definitely a bullish market structure in the high time frames, as well as the daily. So things are looking very, very interesting for Bitcoin. Now I'm very hesitant to say that this is likely. I don't think it's very likely. I think we're going to go lower. But I want you guys to be aware of the fact that if we do break out here and reclaim 22K as high time frame support, the chances are that we are again in a bull market. Is it likely? Not really. I think it's much more likely that we come down and test 18K first. But again, Bitcoin likes to surprise everyone. Now see what happens here. When we broke above 20K, like even when we broke above here, there's like no retest. It just continues straight up. Nobody thought this was possible. Nobody looked at this and say like, we're going to break out here. We're going to go straight to 40K. Nobody said that, right? But it happened. So could Bitcoin just break out here and go straight to 35K? Absolutely. Could you just break out here and on the weekly, we'll just have something like this, right? It's straight up. But for that to happen, the whole idea, like inflation needs to come down rapidly. Like we need to have like a strong move down on inflation. We need the Fed to come out and say like, we're done. Inflation is under control. We're now going to stop quantitative tightening. If that happens, I think that's where the market will pump, right? Now, of course, we're going to have moves like this one before that happens, right? But the obvious moves like these ones right here will come when the whole perspective or the approach of the Fed switches. And who knows, that might come sooner than most people think. And if it does come sooner than most people think, a weekly move straight up to 35K here, where we have that high time frame resistance, is likely. It's most likely going to happen if that happens, right? Do I think it will happen? No. Do I think it's likely that it's going to happen? No. But if the Fed comes out and they do switch policies, absolutely, I think we're going to get a pump that kind of looks like a straight line to the upside to 35K on a weekly. All right, that's it. That's it for today on Bitcoin. Let's do a quick look at the legacy markets as well, and let me know if you guys have any charts you want me to look at, any altcoins, any crypto, any Forex, just whatever. Just let me know in the comments. I think, because there's no trade on Bitcoin for me, it's not really useful for me to go through a lot of altcoins, because they're going to be looking, they're all going to be showing us the same type of price action, right? We need to see Bitcoin make a decision before we decide to go in on any altcoins. All right, this one, we entered this one yesterday, and no, we entered this one on Monday, and we exited that entry on Tuesday. So that's not interesting anymore. We have, oh, look at that. That is beautiful. That is beautiful. We have Mo in the chat saying gold giving an entry. I think I'm on my phone with one eye shut, so still I'm not sure. Just woke up. Yeah, okay. So let's take a look at gold. I do think that there might be a trade on gold. This looks very, very good. So I got that at the top of my list. AUD NCD. It's an interesting area for sure, but there's no trade as of right now. Let's go through the alerts here. We have an alert on, I believe, silver. No trade on silver. We have an alert on, right, let's take a look at Euro USD. Let's take a look at Euro USD. This is a good one, but we got this today. We shouldn't be trading Euro USD today. In 3 hours, we have major news event for the USD, and like it's just when that happens, just don't trade it, man. Like just stay away. Now looking at the daily, the trend is very strong. We have a good level at the monthly open, but I don't like this structure. I don't like the range right here. So for me, there's no trade on Euro USD. I would just stay out of this one. I don't see anything very clear. It's just a range at the top of a move. And usually when you have a strong move and a range at the top of a move, I don't know. I feel like it's probably going lower. And I can't short this because it's in a major uptrend. So yeah, I would just highly advise not to trade Euro USD today. All right, gold, possible long on gold. Euro CAD, not a long, high time frame range. S&P 500, that's a bad signal. ADNC is a good area, but not ready to take a trade on this. Short on Ethereum BTC, not very interesting. We got XRP, Link. We had a good long signal on Link yesterday, but there's just no point trading. We actually did look at potentially entering this one yesterday, but it wouldn't have gave us an entry. It's a good move, but it wouldn't have gave us an entry. Wouldn't have given us an entry. AUD CHF. That's interesting. Now this is no. AUD CAD. I'm gonna move AUD CAD up on the first list. So yeah, let's try to categorize this number 2 list into see where we can have some high probability trades. Guys, one major thing that I would highly recommend that you guys think about, is probably one of the most important things in trading, It's the fact that when trading gets boring, you know that you're doing something right. So when you're sitting at home, your laptop, whatever, you're watching the charts and you haven't taken a trade for 2 days, and you start feeling that it gets boring, and it feels weird because like you're supposed to be a trader, you're supposed to be trading, so you need to take a trade. And when you start feeling that feeling of boredom, and you feel like you really need to take a trade, that's actually you've come to a major milestone in your trading, but only if you're able to become friends with that feeling and not take a trade, not follow that impulse to take a trade just because you're bored or just because you want to take a trade. If you're able to understand that good trading is boring, and if you can instead use that feeling of the urge to take a trade and the boredom of just watching the charts as a no trade, if you can use that as a signal of you doing something right and just taking a step back and listening to the markets, because actually what's happening is when you get into that mental state of mind, it's actually the market telling you that, you know what, there's no trade today. You're not supposed to be trading today. Just take it easy and enjoy life and do what you love. That's the market telling you to do that, right? So you got to listen to the market. You have to observe, like you have to be an observer, not a hunter, right? So you have to observe the market. You have to listen to whatever the market is telling you, and the market will communicate with you through your own emotions. So you see price action doing certain things and you start feeling certain things. You got to learn to identify those feelings, because within those feelings, you have clues on what the market wants to tell you. If you're feeling FOMO, it's the market telling you that it's too late, right? If you're watching Bitcoin pump and you feel FOMO, it's the market telling you that it's too late to buy Bitcoin. If you're seeing Bitcoin dump and you're getting feelings of it's over, we're gonna go much lower. Bitcoin is dead. It's over. That's the market telling you to accumulate. So if you learn to identify which emotions mean what, you can quickly create a mental edge. You can use that trading psychology and identifying your own emotions to use as an edge in trading. So what I'm doing right now, I'm going through the market right now, and I have a strong feeling of is there's just nothing going on. You know, there's nothing going on here. There's just no interesting setups anywhere. I don't really see anything interesting. I know that the next, well, actually, here's something. Well, there's some potential setups, right? But I know that the next phase of that is frustration. So first, I start with just getting a bit bored, like what's going on? Why is there's no trade? And then the next phase would be frustration, right? And that's where you enter the danger zone of making these impulsive mistakes. So you enter the you become frustrated, right? Because the market won't give you a setup. And then you lose confidence in your system, because you're going to tell yourself, maybe there's something wrong with my trading system. Maybe I need to get a new system. Maybe I need to develop my system to give me more signals. And with time, you will realize that every system has drawdown periods, and every system also has periods where there's not going to be any trades. And if you're able to go through these periods without taking a trade and only waiting for the perfect trades, you are going to be extremely profitable. I can absolutely 100% guarantee that you will go from being a unprofitable or break-even trader to be much more profitable if you can just go through these periods without taking trades based on impulsive decisions. In December, I took one trade on December the 10th. The next proper trade following the system that I took was in January the 9th, right? So 1 whole month, I'm not doing anything. And what happened in January? Well, I made more money in 1 week from 4 trades in January than I did in November, December combined. 1 week's profit was more money than November and December combined. What do you think would happen if I, instead of waited for the perfect setups for 1 month, if I just took, bad trades during that time because I wanted to take a trade? Well, obviously I would not be profitable, right? So I highly recommend that you guys trade less. It's one of the it's one of the things I always talk about, trade less. I write about it on Twitter all the time. And if you want to be profitable, trade less. Trade less. If you want to make more money, take less trades. And it might sound counterproductive, but it's actually really, really true. You can talk to any professional trader, listen to any any podcast or any interview or anyone that has been traded professionally for a couple of years. They will all tell you that the single most important part about being a professional and consistently profitable trader is to only take the best trade and leave everything else. The ability to sit on your hands and wait for the best opportunities to rise is what separates the good traders from the great traders, or vice versa, I guess. So think about that. When you have that urge to take a trade, when you see a setup and you're not really sure about it, but you're taking it anyway, understand that you're making a mistake. You should only take a trade if you find a trade setup and you feel like it's perfect. I'm going to take this trade and I don't care if it's a winner or a loser. That's the mentality you have to have. If the stars align and everything is just perfect, that's when you go in. That's when you take the trade. All right. That's it for today, guys. Let's see if the news event coming up in 2 hours and 47 minutes, if it has the effect of moving the price of Bitcoin. And if it does move the price of Bitcoin, which direction are we going? I think I'm going to put some alerts here before we end. And I already have alerts here. So one alert will be below the range EQ in the weekly open, and that's going to say breaking down. And then one alert up here, which is going to say breaking above. And I will alert everyone in the RLZ trading room, of course, if this happens, and whatever my plans are if it happens. All right. Take care, guys, and see you guys in the next one.